buries it. We are live. Couple golf guys on a thirsty Thursday. Just watching some Zurich Classic. Nice little par save there by Schauffele and Cantlay.
Oh,
actually, no, I don't know what this is for. Okay, we're off to a really hot start. Reed T. Fowler, Emerson Latzia. Jeff Ulrich will pop in here in the last 10 minutes of this show.
Oh,
what's he doing? He's doing stuff for what's he like to call it? Vision,
yeah. Or his kids have karate practice. And that's the correct pronunciation, by the way. Karate. It's not karate. It's karate.
Yeah.
Say it right or pay the price.
It's like Mai Tai.
Okay. A little bit, I guess.
Anywho, dude, there's a lot cooking in the sports world. I think the biggest story, at least for me, because I'm a little different, biggest story for me right now is Mike Tyson beating the hell out of some dude on a plane because this one guy was obnoxious and kept talking to him and was annoying him and was pushing his buttons, and clearly, oh my God, he had an agenda to get the crap beat out of him, because now the dude's going to probably go try to get the bag from Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? And I think Tyson even had a pretty legendary quote before too. I don't have it in front of me, but just to paraphrase, it's social media these days has basically made people think they're all tough when then you say something to their face they're not worried about, or social media has made them not think about getting punched in the face kind of thing. I just butchered that. But did you see the video? Did you see the video of him?
I did. And you never want to promote violence, but this is one where you say you got what you deserved.
Yeah.
Because not only would you not want to instigate or try and annoy people or just regular people, right? You have no idea who you're dealing with. This person, let's say it wasn't Mike Tyson, it was just someone who looked random, and this person could have been a Navy SEAL. This person could be a black belt in judo or in jiu-jitsu or in karate, and you're
Rex
annoying this person. Exactly. Eagle Fang dojo. So but then it's Mike Tyson, because everybody knows Mike Tyson. And then you go in and you're putting your finger, you're getting close to this guy. I mean, come on. Yeah. You have to have you got to have screws loose. And it doesn't even matter if you're trying to incite, you try to get the bag. There's no way that this is going to hold up at all. Yeah. This guy was completely intoxicated. Mike Tyson, and look, all we have is this video. None of us were there. This is all we're going off of. But it looks like Mike Tyson was trying to just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. And this guy kept on doing his thing. And at some point, everybody, I don't care who you are, has a boiling point. And Mike Tyson's boiling point is you getting clocked in the face. So you know how those would you rather get punched in the face by Mike Tyson for $1 million or get 1,000 bee stings for $20,000? That person got his wish. He got popped in the face, but he might not get paid.
No. And good for him. He survived. Survived getting popped a few times. And you're right. The passenger probably has a few loose screws. We all do. But then you mix in a little bit of adult beverages to the equation, and it's just screws are all out. There's just not a screw.
But what's the point?
Place.
His whole thing is either I'm going to get paid or I can tell this story at my next whatever.
It's so dumb, dude.
So what your story is then? Hey, look at this video of me getting beat up by Mike Tyson. So anybody who's watching that says you're an idiot and you got popped in the face by one of the most lethal, hands in boxing history. Everyone what are we even thinking about?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
here's the quote I screwed up earlier. He said, and I don't know when he said this, but it's a good quote. Social media made y'all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. He nailed it.
Yeah.
He absolutely nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. These keyboard warriors out there who, can say some stuff, and, coming back full circle. You and I both did, Sims. We were the very first hosts on the Madden Sims. And it took a while for everyone to warm up to us. And there were some hateful words. And I'd bet, and I'd still bet that a lot of those people, if you and I were face to face with them, they wouldn't say those things.
Yeah. Like,
and we're not Mike Tyson. We're nowhere near Mike Tyson.
And Mike Tyson, who we know in the past has had some loose nuts and bolts as well, but like he's so chill these days. Like he's a guy who rebuilt like his image too, from like the ground up, like started at the bottom, like now we're here. And I think he even runs his own like pot company now. So this guy's just like mellow,
chilling.
The guy must have said something like real bad to set off Big Mike Tyson.
You don't want to you don't want to know what he probably said.
No, because right. We'd all be lining up. Yeah, we'd all be lining up to budge the dude like as well. Gosh. Cool. Anything stand out to you at the Zurich in New Orleans today? I know Billy Ho looks good. His team looks good, and they've got about 6-7 holes to go, and they're like 4 off the lead.
Yeah, Bobby G, Robert Garrigus, and Tommy Two Gloves, 1 off the lead, baby. Right, we were talking about Bobby G yesterday about him defecting, basically, and going to the Saudi League, or not defecting. He was asking for his request to do it, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it. And now he's 1 off the lead, so that's really fun. That's really interesting for a storyline. Hopefully, it pans out that he's still around the league, because that'd be interesting to see how the PGA Tour handles that. But this is what you got to do, right? You got to score low on these rounds. We talked about it yesterday. And if you don't, you're really behind the 8 ball. So if you're not able to score on these type of holes, or excuse me, on these type of formats, like, you're seeing 12 under, if you're not able to get 8, 9 under, then, you're going to be struggling quite a bit, because tomorrow and then round 4 is going to be alternate shot. And that's where stuff really gets dicey. So, it's still early. Like, Scotty Scheffler and Ryan Palmer at 5 under, I think. Billy Ho and Sam Burns are at 8 under, so they're in a good spot right now. Zalatoris and Riley finished 8 under. They came off to a slow start, but it's still way, way early. Again, like I said earlier, I really like this event because it's different. You're seeing the different types of like how players interact as a team, and you can get the Aaron Rye, David Lipsky group, which I bet 90% of people don't know who those guys are. Aaron Rye is another player who plays with 2 gloves at 1 off the lead. Yeah. And that's really cool.
Garrigus and Gainey plus 9,000 to win this thing. And then hold on a second. I just had it in front of me. Plus 1,200 for, that'd be a top 5, plus 450 for a top 10.
Ain't bad.
Like what? Yeah, I was gonna say that seems like some pretty good value there for if it's this format though. Like Reed, like tomorrow, do you think like is when you kind of separate maybe some of the more elite groups to guys like a Garrigus and a Tommy Two Gloves? Like no knock on them.
Well, no, I mean that comment is a knock on them, right? Because they're not as good as the other guys.
Well, okay. It's like, hey, like not to offend you, but
I'm going to offend you right now. But you're right. It is. And look, Garrigus, they're plus 450. Like you could, but finishing the top 10 here, if you take a look at the past, you got to have a pretty high score, right? Because and a lot of guys get tied 10th too, right? So if you're making that bet and they land on the top 10, you get dead heat. So at plus 450, I wouldn't necessarily do it just because Garrigus and Gainey haven't even smelled a leaderboard of recent, right? I mean, they got hot, and like I mentioned, Aaron Rye played really well as just his standalone score. David Lipsky has been playing well, relatively well this entire season. That's who I would rather go to for like some of the obscure, quote unquote, no name, right? For like a top 10, if you want to do it plus 175, right? That seems a little bit more like my style of, okay, like that seems right.
So I was just looking at the tweet. I got a little confused when producer Eamon and TP behind the scenes tweeted out like the Periscope video on Twitter, and they say it's Wednesday. It's a Golf Guru Wednesday.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's the Freudian slip. It usually is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Eamon, you son of a bitch. Okay, cool. So like any other like advice you would offer up to peeps who are considering maybe betting this thing, entering the weekend, entering Friday?
No, I mean, you take a look at how this event usually pans out, right? Like I said, Thursday or Friday and Sunday are a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So you take a wait and see approach. You can easily bet when the round is going. And look, the guys like Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay right now, they look really good. They look dangerous currently. And again, I wouldn't bet them right now, but like I would just wait. I would wait and see because you never know, right? You never know what can happen tomorrow, and especially in the alternate shot. Like Leishman and Smith were terrible off the tee today. Terrible off the tee. Like looks like Samir out there. Just
it's pretty bad. So
not cooking to the left, fly out to the right. Like honestly, I'm not even exaggerating. So that worries me about someone like when you look at their score and like, oh, okay, yeah, they played pretty well. It was a struggle for them, but because it was best ball, they didn't have to worry about the bad score. And it's alternate shot. That guy's got to hit your miss. So that scares me a little bit. You still want to stick with the guys, right, that are hitting it well, maybe just miss some putts. That's still the same thing that you want to attack. So I would probably stay away from guys like Leishman and Smith just because it didn't look good today.
All right, who's a pro that you would choose to pair up with in an event like this? Like well, okay. Can you have anybody else?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's my Mount Rushmore of players. I mean, number one obviously is Anthony Finau. Now, wait, timeout. Is it current players? Like I'm a professional golfer.
Give me current players. You got to play in this tournament, and you need someone to pair up with and partner up with.
Yeah,
get anybody.
It'd be Finau.
It'd be Finau.
Yeah, it'd be Finau because we can talk about Hawaii. His wife is from the North Shore, I believe, of Oahu, so we can talk about that. He's where I struggle is off the tee. That's probably the greatest part of my game, but short game though is anywhere. I'm like the Asian Webb Simpson, right? From like approach shot to green and putting, I'm pretty decent. So that's where I would pick up our team.
If that's not in your Twitter bio by the end of the end of the show, I'm gonna be so disappointed in you as a friend. Asian Webb Simpson. I think I'd go Cam Smith. He's got a pretty good short game, right? I'd go Cam. Hey, what's up, honey? I'd go Cam Smith. Also because like we could talk a little bit about Jack's Beach, living out there in his life and him having a mullet and all that stuff. Seems like a pretty cool dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, you could really run the game. I mean, you could take any of the top 10 guys, right? Like, yeah. I mean, Brooks would be solid.
Oh, DJ, that's a good one.
Right? That's what I mean. You could take any one of these guys, like even the ones that aren't good, like in top 10. Pat Perez would be fun to play with, right? Like Dylan Fratelli, I think would be fun to play with. Bryson.
Bryson would be good too, for sure. I mean, I would do Billy Ho. I wouldn't mind some of these dudes who have an edge to them, who like to kind of bark back at some of the trolls out on the course. I think Justin Thomas would be fun. JT would be great. Look at us. Let's just we could do the Ulrich and name every golfer in the field.
Well, who is someone you wouldn't want to play with, though?
I mean, it's probably a name or two I probably can't say here.
Oh, dang it. I tried to.
I love what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. TP says, if I played with Ricky Fowler, we could just use the same caddy bib. Well, our Fowler.
That's true.
He might need really help, by the way, too. He honestly, Ulrich mentioned this in jest yesterday, but I don't know why Ricky's not in this tournament. Because if he plays, like if he's really good friends with these guys like JT, Spieth, want to be like, hey, let's try and win this thing so I can get an exemption for 2 years and I can get some FedEx Cup points. All right, like why isn't he in this field? He needs this.
I'd play with John Daly.
Well, he's not currently playing right now.
I know, and I know I'm breaking the rules. But the best part is, since it's my game, I can just make up the rules as we go along.
Well, I'll play with Junior then. I'll play with Daly Junior.
Okay. I think he's been in college for like a year or two, right? Hasn't he only played in one tournament?
Doesn't matter. Guy can hit it further than both of us combined.
It doesn't matter. Before we go to the NFL draft, which does matter though, I saw your tweet and I didn't click the link or anything like that, but there's a new golf tour now. We're talking about golf tours left and right. This one's not necessarily like a threat to the PGA Tour, right?
No.
It's something that Steph Curry decided to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it?
So it's I think it's the underrated tour. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm getting it correctly. Yeah. So he's launching his own golf tour. It's called the Underrated Golf Tour. Top 24 boys and girls will compete for the Curry Cup on all expenses paid tour, promoting their talents on a national stage. So I think and I tweeted this out to the tour dates. There's 5 tournaments, and it's to serve underprivileged and underrepresented kids who wouldn't get the opportunity, because golf is a very, very expensive sport, right? The clubs, the travel, playing it, like even if you're playing amateur, you got to enter, your fees into these tournaments, lessons, so on and so forth, like room and board, like eating. And, it's always not fun, but it's always interesting to see these guys who are playing on the Korn Ferry Tour or some of these other tours, right? Like you always like to make fun and joke about you being on the Hooters tour, but these guys, if they don't make the cut, they make $0. And if they have a caddy, they got to pay for their expenses as well. So now you start talking about kids, and especially kids in the inner cities or the underrepresented kids.
Yeah,
they have no chance of playing golf. Like, not even talking about the social economics and like what it means, to be a person of color playing golf, right? Not even discussing that, but just in general, in terms of the economics of it. So what Steph is doing, and he's done a lot for the game of golf as well. Even like, I think sponsoring a college golf team at a HBCU as well. So for this, it's specifically to allow, the underrepresented kids a place to play. So it's part of the AJGA, and it's amazing. And this is why I love the game of golf too, is because you see guys like Steph Curry, J.R. Smith playing in college.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
There's a lot of obviously the quarterbacks in the NFL love the game, right? You can play this game until you're 80, but at the same time, how we grow the game is making sure that the people who are playing, the pros included, look like our society at whole. And that's why it's so amazing.
Yeah. I remember like working down in West Palm and how awesome the like first tee was in introducing the sport and getting a lot of kids from more underprivileged homes to get out there and swing the sticks. And the amount of stories I did on some of these kids who picked up the game so fast, became kick-ass golfers, and it ended up making their high school golf team and then earning a scholarship. It doesn't get much better than that. It does not, when we're talking, giving people opportunities who don't necessarily have them like right in front of them.
Right. And, golf, yes, it can be monotonous. And if you look at it at surface level, it can be not, it's not as, obviously it's not as quick. It's not as fast twitch as football or even baseball, right? Like, I mean, let's not talk about basketball in terms of how different the athleticism involved in golf and those sports are, but it's the other stuff, right? This too, because you play, like when you play golf, you're playing against yourself and all of your inner demons and the things that, that are going on between the ears. Those things come right away, like to the front and center if you're playing, because you are playing misses. You're playing your failures, and you're going to fail more times than you succeed. And if you can be able to get through that and then excel at that, what that does for kids and what that does for their psyche, and just the rules and the entire game itself, and making it fun, and you're outside. Yeah, I'm so hopeful that this thing works. Like I want it to work so bad, because what this means and how this sets precedent for golf moving forward is what it should be. It should be inclusive.
Curry's such a likable dude.
Yeah.
Well, like even when just watching him in the NBA and he's playing against like your team, like he's not a dude that I think even opposing fans crap on. And it's not like let's just say Curry comes here to TD Garden. Celtics fans aren't treating Curry the way that they're treating Kyrie. And I know that's almost like comparing apples to oranges, but I think Curry can almost go to any arena, light it up for 70 points, set a 3-point record in that game, and people are in awe.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he gets his fair share.
Yeah. But even like I see him on commercials and things like that, he just comes off as a likable guy. His fun pregame routines that he does where he's shooting like backward shots and then from behind the backboard, like walking down the concourse, going down to the tunnel.
Yeah, he's a likable dude. And like it's Kyrie's his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Even if he says like, oh, it's, like in any athlete, right? It's you're your own worst enemy. And especially in golf, but like basketball, especially too, right? If you're not one of those 5 or 7 that are contributing and all you're doing is getting wrapped up, and look, he dropped 39 in that game. But like, if you're more consumed about that, then the fans are doing their job. Then you're feeding into the frenzy and you're fueling the thing and that's why it's such a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're fulfilling what you don't want, which is them to yell obscenities at you more. And if you show that you don't care, or even if like you do care and then you wait to get it all out, in the locker room, then the fans are eventually going to stop, because then it's wasted energy. They're going to move on to the next guy. They're going to move to KD. And if they're going to move to KD and it's not going to happen with KD, they're going to move to like Blake Griffin. And it's not going to Blake, you know what I mean? It's just on and on and on. So,
so like besides paying attention to golf, I was paying a lot of attention to the Miguel Cabrera like situation. He entered today against the game, Tigers against the Yankees, and he was 1 hit shy of 3,000.
It's great.
1 hit shy of 3,000. And we got Nick Fryer here in the house, baby.
There he is.
DraftKings contributor, former baseball potato chip in the college ranks. Couldn't cut it in the pros, so he's here with us now, having a good time. The guy has 13 flannels in his closet.
Yeah, actually, what's funny is you asked me the other day and I counted 11, and then I found one hidden up top on one of my shelves, so I have 12. Still on the under that I gave you in producer Billy D. But
all right, dude. Can you believe? So Cabrera gets up there today. I think he flies out to left in his first at bat. Everyone went crazy because it was pretty deep, and then he strikes out in the second one. And I don't know if this one in the 8th where the Yankees intentionally walked him.
Right.
Yeah, because it's Miguel Cabrera of old. It's Miguel Cabrera of old, and of course, he's going to do some serious damage in this kind of spot. Second and third, I get it with first base open, but man, I love Detroit right now because we always think Boston's the only one that does the Yankee suck chance. I don't know if the Mets do it too, but I would assume that's about it. Now Detroit's doing it. I never get tired of hating on the Yankees. Same thing with the Lakers. I was born and raised in Boston. It's what you have to do. And it's a weak move. I get you're trying to win, but I mean, like, he's not the same Miguel Cabrera anymore. Get over yourself.
I know. I just think, and listen, Aaron Boone's a friend of the program. Like he plays some fun little games with us over the past few years, but yeah, 22,000 people in that stadium chanting like Yankees suck. That was
only half the crowd, only half the stadium was filled up though. It is still Detroit.
That's church bells. Everybody loves Yankees suck, right? Yep. You got to take down the system. The Yankees, all they do is print money. And so
the Dodgers are worse now. I can't deal with the Dodgers anymore. It's brutal, man. Just everybody, even Freddie Freeman now. I'm getting really
that looks weird.
Yeah.
Seeing Freeman in Dodger blue looks really weird.
I mean, Trey Turner, Justin Turner, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and then it's not even talking about the pitching staff. It's a joke. I mean, I just don't know how you do it. I understand the Red Sox spent money for years and the Yankees have done it too, but I mean, at least some of these good teams. That's why I love the Cardinals. Like they have grown a lot of their players over the years and they are always in contention. And for all my complaining about the A's too, they're outstanding with it too. And same with the Rays.
The A's, once they get to like the postseason, just they're completely different than St. Louis when they get to the postseason. I mean, hell, St. Louis got to the postseason last year and they won like 18 straight games, something crazy like that. And then they got rid of their manager.
Yeah. So, I don't get it at all. I don't understand that.
I was at Fenway last night. I was totally expecting there to be some because the 2 previous nights before I'd been following along on Twitter, people who were at the game, they were telling me there were the F Kyrie chants going up and down and all around. And then you think like last night with them in town, and then especially leading by 17 at one point. Yeah, nothing.
What
the Fenway crowd kept it clean.
But Ben Simmons is coming back too, so now the Nets are going to turn it around.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you know what? It's funny because, and I think I saw Jeff Pratt tweet this out earlier today. Jeff was talking about like it's going to be comical either way because he's going to hit the floor in Game 4 with the season on the line for the Nets, and Jeff mentioned some of the pressure-packed situations with Ben Simmons there back in his Philly days and how he would crumble a lot in those situations. Or you're coming back here for Game 5, right? And we know how savage the Celtics crowd's going to be.
Oh my God, they're going to be ruthless with him. I mean, he has crumbled under the pressure against the Celtics many a time before. I mean, my big thing is like this is a team that number 1 weapon is Kevin Durant, number 2 weapon is Kyrie Irving. Their number 3 weapon is their 3-point shooting. So now you're going to add this guy to the floor, and you're going to play like 15 feet off him when he's on the 3-point line, just to ensure that he doesn't drive. Sure, he helps you on the defensive end, but they're a mess defensively too. So what's to say that he's going to help a little bit, but only so much. But I think that their offense is going to look a lot worse with him out there. Long term, it'll help, but short term, no, not at all.
Nick, is he going to start?
I mean, I don't know. I honestly would think not, but
yeah, same.
Steve Nash. Look, I feel for Steve Nash. Like I had to cover the Nets for a few years, and like I feel like he's trying as best as he can, but he's just not. I feel like he doesn't have a whole lot of say in the situation. I mean, it's just been a mess since he got there.
Yeah,
I think with a lot of coaches with these mega stars on their teams don't have a lot of say. You're more of, I think, a head coach in the NBA. People have said it before. It's almost become a little cliche, but like you're more of a babysitter as an NBA head coach.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. And when you have Kyrie on the roster too, like the thing that's so mind blowing to me with him is like, clearly they've tried to do a rotating door of players since like over this past year and even the year before that. And you look at the roster, when Kenny Atkinson was there the year before, he's gone. Everybody's gone from that team except for Joe Harris, who can't play right now. But my thing is when Kyrie left the Celtics, that last series against the Bucks, he talked about the Bucks and their continuity and everything they did well over the regular season, after saying regular season doesn't matter all season long. Fast forward to last night after the game, he's talking about the Celtics time is now, they have continuity, they have like a plan and everything. It's like, what's the common denominator in this situation? You don't want that in the regular season, and now your teams are underperforming every single time. So I don't know when it's going to get through his head. I guess never, apparently.
Okay. What about tonight? 3 NBA games. Do you have any plays? Ulrich's going to join us here in a few minutes, and we could talk some NFL. Are you comfortable talking some NFL?
Me?
Let's get talk about the draft. Yeah, you.
Yeah, sure. Well,
okay,
I don't want to step on Reed's toes. I know.
Oh, no, please.
Are you kidding me? No. It's good. It's good having you here.
It's supposed to be the gorgeous golf gurus and you, so I don't know.
But, hey, no, they have recently adopted me as a gorgeous golf guru. Like I'm an honorary gorgeous golf guru.
Is that for your ability as a putter tosser? Is that what it is?
No, dude, I don't toss my clubs because I spend too much money on my clubs. Like the people who snap their clubs out on the course, I look at those videos, I'm like, oh, that's $500.
I snapped one once before accidentally, but
wow.
Didn't know how to throw. Instead of throwing it in whirlybird fashion, I like kind of Gronk spiked it a little bit. Didn't realize my own strength. You know, it happens from time to time.
You're a fiery dude. So we had you on the Sweat this morning. We had Reed on the Sweat, talk a bunch of football. We had you on the Sweat this morning. You were with Eric Halterman of RotoWire. You were talking a lot of baseball, but give me a basketball play here. You got like a player prop or something you're looking at tonight. Are you looking at a spread? You're looking at a total. What do we have any injury updates too?
I haven't seen any injury updates at this point, other than Luka Doncic. It looks like he's more doubtful than he is questionable.
Okay. Right.
I did write up a few bets for DK Playbook. I think I had 3 for tonight. If I had to pick my favorite one, though, for tonight, it's Nikola Jokic, his points prop. What did he score? 26 the other day in 28 minutes before he got tossed. Okay. I really hope it doesn't happen again, but clearly he only needs so much time to get those points after a brutal first game performance out of him. But like right now they're in desperation mode. So I would think like this guy's gonna, go that extra mile, and he averaged 28 points per game at home this season. So 30, not a huge ask. Yeah. It's tough to count the big man out, and the rest of Denver at home. And I know Draymond's done a hell of a job, getting inside his head.
But I think tonight the Joker responds and maybe won't get sucked into that nonsense again.
No, I mean, it happens, and Draymond gets under everybody's skin every once in a while. I mean, but he's too good. I mean, clearly, even though he got under his skin, he still had 26 points in 28 minutes. It's ridiculous.
Reed, what's your baseball team? Because you were a baseball guy growing up, weren't you? Because you were pretty damn good too when we brought you out for our softball team.
Yeah. I don't really have a team. When you grow up in Hawaii, you don't really get like teams. So it's pretty much proximity to where you are. So all of the California teams, but way back when, the 95 Braves were my team. Talk about Justice and Terry Pendleton, Jeff Blauser, Mark Lemke, and then the trio. I mean, the pitchers. You talk about those. Oh, goodness. The fact that they didn't win more World Series is hurtful. But yeah, that was probably my favorite team growing up.
Did you watch on TBS?
Oh yeah, that's the and that's probably why too, Nick. That's probably a good point. That was like the only station that like one of 5 stations I got when I was a kid was like TBS for some reason.
That's how I watched it. 100%.
Yeah,
I totally forgot how they used to only be on TBS. Like as a kid, it's like you're flipping around. It's like, oh my God, there's the Braves like on TBS, and then here comes like Die Hard 2.
Well, and then
follow it up.
And then that ESPN, was it ESPN or Gatorade? I can't remember when. Who was it? It wasn't Smoltz. It was Glavine and Maddox who said "Chicks dig the long ball."
Hell yeah! And I'm glad you mentioned something about Greg Maddox because Jeff Ulrich is here with us. Are we going to go quad box? Is that a thing, Pike?
I don't know. That he looks like Greg Maddox.
No, we're on quad box. We see he's working on it. Okay. No, I know Jeff Ulrich standing by. I don't know if he's been punched up yet or not, but he just dropped in Slack that Maddox is his favorite player. Why is that, Jeff?
Dude, first pitch strike all the time. Guy's an artist out there. He's throwing like 88-mile fastballs and just getting people out. I love Greg Maddox. I love watching him pitch. I love the Braves too. Not shocked that Reed and I share that in common. They're great taste and
that was my first family vacation. Was my parents hopped in the Windstar and we drove up to Atlanta and we saw Braves games. My first Major League Baseball game. Went to Six Flags over Georgia. Went to Stone Mountain, and then there was some like Raging Waters water park that we went to as well. That was interesting being that young. But anywho. Good to have, dude. This is great. We have 4 people here. Fryer, what's your Major League Baseball play tonight before we go to the NFL?
Luka is officially out. So you know, that was the one game I was staying away from. I mentioned this earlier on the Sweat. My favorite play tonight is definitely Cubs Pirates. Pirates over 1.5 runs through the first 5 innings. Lighter is brutal. I know it was the Rockies and he was at Colorado, so it kind of helps him a little bit. He got smacked around last time out. And I like the Pirates stack tonight too, even if you're looking for DFS purposes. Vogelbach was my guy, but I don't think it's going to take much to get 2 runs across on this guy because they were doing it before they went to Milwaukee. Obviously, a much tougher pitching matchup in that series.
It's really nice having you here today, Fryer. I don't usually see you after high noon. Well, so thanks for popping in.
I don't ever get to do anything with Nick.
Yeah, never done stuff with either of you two.
Isn't he likable? He's a likable guy. Nobody hates him more than.
Despite what you said about Fryer off camera, he's a really good guy.
Wow. Yep. Truth comes out.
Yeah, they're. I put a few friendly notes in the Slack channel, but it's a good thing you're not part of that.
He flipped out on me today on the Sweat Guys. It was very uncomfortable. I don't know if he's ever done that with you before.
Was it pre or post Peloton ride? Because if you get him on the wrong side of that, it's deadly.
Yeah, when the blood sugar's low.
Yeah. Or an ankle is twisted on the streets, on the sad streets of Boylston. Then you might run into someone who's hangry, who hasn't had Snickers yet.
It's really, really gross. Ulrich, so we didn't really get to talk. We talked a little bit about it, but when it comes to the draft here, man, NFL draft, we're 1 week out right now. And one thing we didn't really talk about this morning, and it's kind of interesting because I was looking at some of the numbers and I said, well, hot damn, it doesn't really feel like odds makers are very confident in quarterbacks really going in the first round of the draft, and especially top 10. And the last time a quarterback didn't go in the top 10 of the draft was 2013. Oh my God, it was EJ Manuel. That was a reach. Wow. At 16 to the Bills. So in 8 drafts since then, 19 quarterbacks have been drafted in the top 10 of their respective drafts. And I think over on the DK Sportsbook right now, question I have for you here is, again, odds makers aren't very confident in it because I believe why is my computer freezing? I don't have the odds now in front of me.
Take a couple guesses why.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. No, these are work computers.
Okay. I don't know what you mean by that.
The first quarterback to go is around 12, is like 10 and a half, 11 and a half. I think it is. Would you be brave enough to take the under on that? Because there are teams in the top 10. There are multiple teams in the top 10 that have quarterback needs.
So Malik Willis is a player I'm actually probably going to stay away from on props, because I do feel like there's a chance like someone just gets enamored with him, like a Seattle or a Carolina, and they just go grab him. They just, you know what? He's our guy. It doesn't matter if we're paying up, if we got to trade up for him. We're committing. He's got the explosiveness. He's got that like Lamar Jackson, kind of Jalen Hurts rushing ability, and we're fine with that. And yeah, we know he's a limited passer, but there's nobody else in this draft that's worth spending the capital on. So Willis is one of those dudes. I'm not going to bet the under, but I'm not going to fade him either, if that makes sense. That's like the one quarterback where I'm just not confident that he's gonna fall. I think that someone will go up and get him. What I think is interesting, and I mentioned this on the Sweat today, like Desmond Ridder is a player I think could go a little bit earlier than people have him projected for, and taking him to be the second quarterback, like after Willis, you can get plus 550 on it. So basically, I think that competition to be the second quarterback off the board is going to be between going to be between Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder. And I'll take Ridder there at plus 550. So that's a bet I like. I am looking to take some Ridder props, like to go a little bit higher, but Willis, I think someone is going to it's just going to get too frothy, and they're going to go up there and they're going to spend some high draft capital.
Yeah, Fowler. So Willis, favorite to be the first quarterback drafted. As we mentioned, over under there's 10 and a half. Pickett, second best odds to be the first quarterback drafted, over under 12 and a half. Is there one that you would feel more confident betting the over or the under on?
Look, I think Desmond Ridder is the most NFL quarterback ready guy out there. I mean, he has like 1,000 whatever, how many starts that he had at Cincinnati. So he's the guy that you probably would project in there. But this kind of feels like 2016 draft. And, where the quarterbacks, look, you had Jared Goff and these guys, and I think Carson Wentz was in that draft as well, but it doesn't really feel like there's this standout quarterback that guys have to get, right? That you have to go out and get. And with that being said, you want to embrace that chaos and kind of go what Jeff is talking about and maybe take some gambles. Look, even Matt Corral, Matt Corral is probably not going to be the second quarterback, or he might and that's the thing. Like, you can make an argument that he might be because of his size and because of how many starts he had under center. But that's kind of what you want. I mean, Sam Howell, not Matt Corral, Sam Howell at UNC. But that's kind of what you want to do, right? With this position, this draft is stacked with offensive linemen and with wide receivers, and edge rushers are like a plenty in this draft, but especially wide receivers. Right. So I would stay away from the marquee, everyone's talking about wide receiver. Everyone's talking about offensive line. Everyone's talking about edge. So the leverage, right, is probably in the quarterback selection. And that's where you could probably make some weight on the DK Sportsbook.
Okay. Fryer, I look at some of the teams there that need quarterbacks. So you obviously have the Lions picking at number 2. That'd be a bit surprising. However, the Panthers at 6, they seem desperate for a quarterback. Giants, we talked about this morning on the show, guys. They picked twice in the top 7, but they also seem content to give Daniel Jones another chance, another year at least. And are the Falcons content with Marcus Mariota? I know you're a huge fan of him, Jeff, and then Seattle with Drew Lock. Fryer, is there a quarterback bet or any other draft bet that you like right now as we've hit the 1 week mark?
So I want to wait a little bit more on this, just because last year I remember I was doing what was it? It was the a pool article for DK Playbook, and I'm thinking this whole time that Fields is going to go a little bit higher. He's going to be that second quarterback drafted. Then he ends up slipping a little bit more. As soon as I finished writing that article, guys, we get a report from Rappaport that he's going to go a little bit later. And I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So I'd rather wait a little bit longer on this one. But the whole Daniel Jones situation to me is odd. The idea that it would be fitting for the Giants, because the only success that they've really had over the course of this century or whatever has been dumb luck and the Patriots choking. Other than that, they've pretty much they've all fallen into their lap. So I would think they'd give him another year still. I mean, what's the worst that happens? You're in a similar spot that you are this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you also take a look at the Giants too, and Brian Daboll as the head coach. I mean, he's had Josh Allen for like as his quarterback where he's seen the most success. Like Daniel Jones is nowhere near someone like Allen. Does he try and find someone in the draft that is sort of like that? Probably not, because there isn't anybody. So you like, I think Fryer's right. I think you got to kind of stick with your guns with Daniel Jones and then build around him, right?
Yeah.
Build around him to make sure you got the foundation that maybe in a couple of years, like you'll see some quarterbacks come through. And this is also indicative too. And this is why you're seeing these like huge wide receiver contracts too, is like the draft class right now for wide receivers. We knew about this draft class probably a year or two ago. And I don't know if you guys remember that a lot of these wide receivers were holding out because their agents, if they were good, were saying this next draft class in about 1 to 2 years is going to be really, really good. So let's get you paid now before you have to go up against these teams that are probably going to say, we'd rather get someone like Chris Olave at like number 19, as opposed to paying you for 4 years. That's what's going to be interesting about this quarterback class too, of like how many of these guys are actually going to get second contracts and, get that first round money. So Kenny Pickett to me is someone like, I don't know, like, is he going to go in the first round? Like, probably not, which sounds weird.
I think if the Saints, it's like the Saints or Steelers, right? Like if those two teams just decide, no, he's going second. It feels like second round, maybe, right?
No, you're right, Jeff. And these teams know some of these teams are going to be willing to take a gamble on a quarterback. We know there's no more important position in sports than that. We know the big advantage of having a quarterback, an elite one, on a rookie contract, because if you can hit on that quarterback like in the first round, it immediately opens that 5-year window where the team can build around a cheap quarterback and compete.
Yeah, but I think now we're seeing with Burrow too, right? I guess she doesn't that really must have upset him. But we saw with Burrow this year, right? Where you give him a guy who's a piece, of course they have history and everything. So it makes a huge difference. And we're seeing a little bit of more of that in the league right now. But when you go and get him a little bit better protection, and then you get him a guy who he can lean on more comfortably, to kind of what Reed's point was when we were talking about Daniel Jones initially, you're probably better off trying to get some of that, give guys a chance to at least blossom a little bit more when they have pieces that are there consistently, not constantly dealing with, is it hamstring injuries that Barkley's been dealing with every single year? I forget, but
it's like everything.
Yeah, it's everything. So
lower extremity.
When you don't have the pieces around him, around any quarterback that you expect to have around him, how can you expect him to perform to the level that you want him to? So I think, you're better off with some of these guys, especially with the Giants. But again, we're talking logically here. I don't know if the Giants are going to go with a logical approach. I think that's a big caveat we should put out there.
Well, the other thing too, right, for new coaches is you're tied to the quarterback you draft too, right? Like, and for teams specifically, you take on the identity of your coach and your quarterback. And if you pick the wrong guy, if you're a new coach like Brian Daboll, that will be with you anywhere you go for a head coaching job. So if he picks incorrectly, which look, there really is no like conviction in any of these quarterbacks, then you might just say, you know what, if one falls to us in the later rounds where we don't have to pay a lot of money, and then it becomes a value, a steal, right? Like let's say Sam Howell becomes, the next Ben Roethlisberger, then like that's a steal for someone you got in the third round. Like as opposed to like, oh, we have to get Malik Willis because, he threw off his back foot 60 yards with no, people rushing him, with no defense in a dome, right? Like, trust me, Jamarcus Russell is all you need to know about. He's not Jamarcus Russell. Like Malik Willis is not Jamarcus Russell.
Okay.
But when you worry yourself about like the immeasurables of arm strength and this and that, you start to get yourself in a little bit of a pickle there.
Yeah. And this is coming from a Raiders fan as well.
I got to amend, like we were doing this. I might be, really showing you guys behind the curtain, but we were doing these like top steals and top busts.
I heard about this.
And I really like everyone, like the consensus bust we all know is Ryan Leaf. I really should have put Jamarcus Russell as number one, like the worst. He had 3 years in the league.
Oh, but he made so much money. That's before they like tweaked with how much money you could essentially give rookie quarterbacks. The guy, it was like 40 or 50 million. It was something ridiculous where like you just put pen to paper, you become like one of the richest dudes in the league automatically.
He had like 38 mil guaranteed and I think 60 mil 3 years.
Like 60.
Held out, didn't go to training camp. Yeah.
No, became like 400 pounds.
He basically signed they basically got $60 million and just was like, nope, I'm good. Thanks.
I hope he invested all that money wisely. I'm sure he did.
All right. We have to go. We have to go, guys, because they have Sims coming up here on YouTube and Twitch after this. Fryer, thanks for swinging by, man. It was good. Was this your debut on the slate?
No, my first time with you on the slate, though.
Okay, cool. That's all that matters because you did a tremendous job today. Jeff, thanks for swinging by too. That was fun. Reed, love you. Eamon, TP behind the scenes. You guys are great. You're the glue that keeps this dysfunctional family together. And we'll see everyone. I'll be on the sweat tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. All these guys will be there as well, hopefully. Peace.